eyes crawling across his face finally wake Mark up, and he finds himself lying on the cold ground with a pounding headache, convinced he simply drank too much the night before. Then a foul odor hits his nose, and when he turns his head, he spots a dead rat swarming with flies just inches away. Startled, fully awake, he sits up quickly and understands that he is trapped inside a very bizarre room. The space holds nothing except a metal locker pressed against one wall, and a single light fixture hanging from the ceiling. A massive iron door makes it clear that this place is actually a vault. Mark tries the handle, but it refuses to move even a millimeter. He starts hammering on the door with his fists, shouting for his friends and begging them to end the prank he believes they are pulling. Still, no human voice answers him from the other side. Click subscribe now and listen to my famous talk no jutsu, you know? Let's continue. He pulls out his phone only to discover there is zero signal inside the vault. Moving to the locker, he tugs on its lock, but it will not give way either, and he cannot see through the metal to know what is hidden inside. When he leans close to sniff around the locker, the flies swarm back to buzz annoyingly around his face. Mark scans the ceiling and walls for any security cameras, yet he finds nothing watching him. Desperate, he announces that he will urinate in the room if nobody rescues him soon, and since the silence continues, he relieves himself against the wall while hurling insults at whoever put him there. For the next several hours, he just sits in place talking to himself, trying to piece together how he arrived here with almost no memory. He realizes that if nobody comes to get him shortly, he will have no choice but to defecate on the floor as well. Then he starts screaming that he is hungry, thirsty, and needs to call his boss because he is already missing a full day of work. He resumes pounding on the door, even removing his belt to slap against the metal for more noise, but it all proves completely useless. After many minutes of complaining about the lack of any response and the disgusting smell of the dead rat, Mark begins kicking the locker, which accomplishes absolutely nothing. Next, he climbs on top of the locker and bellows for someone to let him out, yelling until his throat hurts with no effect. The next day arrives, and now maggots have appeared all over the rat's decaying body. Mark has slipped on the floor again, and when he wakes up, he notices that nothing has changed in his prison. He checks his phone, but when he accidentally drops it, the screen shatters beyond use. It was not helpful anyway, since he still has no signal. Unable to handle his thirst any longer, Mark decides to urinate into his own shoe and drink the liquid to stay alive. The taste is absolutely disgusting, so he tries to fool his mind by pretending it is beer. After shouting some more, he puts the wet shoe back on his foot before kicking the dead rat toward the door. Then he strikes the ceiling light and something inside it catches his eye. He hits it harder until the fixture falls, revealing a small key hidden inside. Mark feels terrified of what he might uncover, but he still opens the locker, which contains 2 gas canisters and several tools. First, he uses a hammer and chisel on the door, which only ruins the paint without denting the metal at all. Next, he struggles with the canisters until a tool finally helps him twist them open. Putting all the equipment together takes a long time because he has never used anything like it before. But eventually, he manages to make it work, giving him a functioning blowtorch. He immediately aims the flame at the sprinkler on the ceiling, yet nothing happens. Afterward, Mark turns the blowtorch onto the door itself. It leaves a black burnt mark on the metal, but the door will not break open. He tries smacking the burnt area with the hammer, but it is equally pointless. Furious beyond reason, Mark throws the locker onto the floor and beats it for a while. Then he climbs back onto it to reach the sprinkler and smashes it with the hammer. For the next few minutes, he takes out all his anger on every object he can reach until everything lies in pieces around him. He only stops when he realizes he is wasting too much of his body's precious water. Sitting on the floor, he starts going through everything he knows about his current situation and concludes that someone wants to kill him very slowly while enjoying his suffering. Right then, he notices a small hole in the wall and decides to start making it bigger using the tools. Dust and debris fly into his eyes as he works, but that only fuels his anger and makes him crave revenge even more. Even when he hurts his hand with the hammer, Mark keeps working, only stopping when he needs to rest and recover some energy. Eventually, he becomes too drained, and it gets hard to breathe, so he inhales some gas from one of the containers, which causes him to pass out. Thankfully, he wakes up quickly and shuts the tank before anything truly bad can happen. Next, he eats the maggots from the rat's body while sarcastically telling himself they are healthy and organic. They taste horrible, but he still swallows as many as he can. Lastly, he urinates into his shoe again and drinks it, which nearly makes him vomit. After working on the wall for a while longer, Mark finds metal reinforcements buried inside the concrete. He immediately grabs the blowtorch and laughs maniacally while using the flame to successfully melt through the metal bars. Assuming he has now reached the middle of the wall, he announces out loud that he will escape soon. Then he falls asleep on top of the locker, exhausted. Later, the flies wake Mark up once more, and he immediately resumes working on the hole. This time he lasts long enough to finally break through to the other side. Nobody answers when he speaks through the opening, so he keeps working until the hole is large enough to push his entire body through. After an enormous struggle, he crawls into the next room and is devastated to find another vault identical to his first one. This door will not open either, and he pounds on it with pure fury. When Mark turns around, he notices a fallen lamp, a wooden coffin, and a chain hanging from the ceiling. Pulling the chain turns on a single light. Worried about what might be inside the coffin, he reaches back through the hole to grab his chisel in case he needs a weapon. Then he opens the coffin and finds a sleeping woman inside. He pokes her a few times with no response, but after a few seconds, she wakes up screaming in terror. The woman panics because she thinks Mark wants to hurt her, and she rushes to the door while speaking a language he cannot understand. Since the door will not open, the woman runs back to the other vault through the hole. Mark tries to follow her and says everything is all right, but this only makes her scream even louder, so he stays behind. He collapses while realizing how ridiculous it is to claim everything is fine, and he starts laughing uncontrollably, only stopping when the woman throws the dead rat back through the hole at him. Mark decides to turn off the light and sleep inside the coffin instead. The woman inspects her side of the vault and urinates in a corner by herself. The next day, she crosses back through the hole with the chisel in her hand and pokes Mark until he wakes up. Noticing they are still trapped, he just turns around and tries to go back to sleep, so she turns out all the lights and hands him the chisel again. Mark falls off the coffin when he tries to get out, and the woman then gives him the hammer, clearly wanting him to start making another hole. After making her choose which wall they should attack next, Mark has the woman hold the chisel while he swings the hammer. However, she is afraid of getting hurt and pulls her hands back every time. Since she refuses to cooperate that way, Mark agrees to hold the chisel himself and let her do the hammering. The woman does not hit hard enough, and the wall does not even get a scratch, so Mark has no choice but to do all the work himself again. Whenever he takes a break, she tries to do a little bit of work too, only to hurt her own hand. Mark keeps wondering who put him here while watching her, and he slowly starts feeling attracted to her. Suddenly, the woman runs to the other room to urinate, and Mark follows her. So she grabs a piece of broken glass to defend herself. Convinced he wants to abuse her, he throws one of his shoes at her and uses hand gestures to communicate. He asks her to urinate into the shoe so he can drink it to stay hydrated. At first, the woman refuses, so he yells at her until she changes her mind. She makes him turn around before relieving herself and then hands the shoe back to him. Afterward, Mark drinks her urine and leaves a little bit for her so she can also stay hydrated. He also eats some maggots and tries to share them, but she turns him down. When Mark starts considering eating the actual rat meat, the woman stops him, since that would make him sick instead of helping him survive. Later, while Mark works on the wall, the woman talks about her home life in Africa and begins to cry, but he still cannot understand her words. Desperate to distract her, Mark starts singing very badly, and the woman actually laughs. He asks her to sing too, and she shares a traditional song in her lovely voice. She pounds on the wall to guide the rhythm, and Mark starts hammering to the same beat. This distracts him so much that he accidentally slams the hammer right onto his own hand. Noticing he is bleeding, the woman tears some fabric from her hat and carefully bandages his wound. Now Mark has no choice but to hold the chisel again and let her do the hammering. Even though she swings very slowly, she still accidentally hits his hand anyway. However, he says it is fine and makes her keep going. Suddenly, the handle on the door begins to move. The woman rushes to open it, but it will not budge. Mark follows her to try as well, yet it does not work either. He pounds on the door while yelling for help, and the woman cries beside Mark goes back to the wall and makes the woman start hammering again. At that moment, the door handle moves once more, and the woman rushes to open it, but it still does not give way. A furious Mark threatens that one day he will torture and kill their captors before the duo gets back to work. As soon as the woman starts hammering, the door handle moves again. Mark points out that it is a trap and forces her to ignore it. The more they hammer, the more the door handle moves, and it only stops if they turn around to look at it. Once they realize this trick, the duo starts moving toward the door while walking backwards, so they never face it directly. This time, they manage to open the door and enter the next room, which is also a vault. Here, they find an open grave, a red tombstone with no writing on it, and a fallen chandelier. Mark checks the grave, but finds nothing inside, so he assumes it is meant for them. They decide to keep digging inside the grave, and the woman hopes that the backwards walking trick will work again. However, as they start digging, the door stays completely still. After many hours of digging, Mark collapses with a light fever. He furiously starts yelling insults at their captors and wonders out loud if they want him to eat the woman. She thinks she is about to die, but Mark swears he will never do such a horrible thing and has a total emotional breakdown. Then the woman pulls at his arm, and when he refuses to move, she slaps him across the face. Mark does not have the strength to stand up, so the woman keeps kicking him and pulling his arms until she can push him out of the hole. Now it is her turn to have a breakdown. But unlike Mark, she yells at God instead of their captors. Then she collects her tears in her hand and puts them into Mark's mouth to hydrate him. Wow, that is so sweet, even though sweat really tastes salty. Moving on. Growing desperate, she undresses Mark, and they end up getting intimate on the floor. After a good nap, Mark wakes up next to his partner, instead of waking up to flies crawling on him. He crawls to the coffin to tear off the upholstery and lays it over the woman like a blanket before falling asleep again. Moments later, the door handle starts rotating, and Mark quickly wakes the woman up so they can move. They are both very weak and can barely stand, but they support each other to move backwards without looking at the door. When the door finally opens, they turn around and are shocked to discover they are standing in paradise. It seems they were Adam and Eve all along, and they had to learn their right to happiness after so much teamwork and relentless effort. Wow, what a great story! The title of the movie is Iron Doors of 2010. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.